Hey there, welcome back to the sixth episode of the still unfortunately untitled Barcade game. And just hit a pretty huge, milestone, I suppose. Finally actually had people together to playtest this. So that is awesome. It was a super, super useful experience. And I learned so much within maybe even the first 15 seconds that you'll see right here. So I'm actually just going to show a bunch of video from those playtests. So I had my cousins over to play, which was awesome because A, they're just a bunch of goofballs, and B, they do represent like a pretty good range of I guess like game expertise, so a couple of my cousins like basically never play video games, and some of them play a decent amount. I wouldn't say any of them are like super hardcore by any means, but I have plenty of people like that to test at a later date. But yeah, so I learned a ton of things, the first of which was a little fun little bug I think that we'll see in just a second right here, when that like Jester could throw other characters, Marty was able to get hit by other characters. It was just kind of a mess all over the place, but they were really awesome and let me do some hotfixes in between the games, but I was able to just I've been watching this video for the past couple days after we played here, and been able to kind of test and patch out a lot of things. But yeah, so as you can see, it's kind of all over the place. Nobody knows what they're doing. They're just flinging things around. I'm kind of talking to them and explaining a little bit about the game, but just letting them play. That's something I like to do in just teaching any game in general. Just let people play while you tell them about the things. It helps them from getting bored and stop and paying attention. But yeah, so the first couple games, I think the first thing that we learned was that everybody was set to be way too fast. One thing that was a big kind of issue, I guess, amongst the people that were playing was there's a ton of clumping. So everyone would just be all four people on the ball, and it's just not moving anywhere because it's boxed in completely by the people. And people were just talking about, like Jester and Kid Ninja are supposed to be much faster than Ori and Belly, but like because of how fast they all move, it didn't really feel like a thing. Halfway through, I did go ahead and slow down everything. Slow down Ori maybe a bit too much, but again, we were just testing stuff out. Everybody was really cool about all that stuff. But yeah, so we just. And we played, initially probably played about 6 or 7 games, and then we went and we played some other board games, but then they actually decided to come back and play that again, and that was just the coolest thing for me, to just have them. I fully expected them to play 4 or 5 times and be like, okay, we're bored, and go do something else. So it was just cool to see. To see them be even excited a little bit, whether or not they were just being nice, I don't know, but I guess I don't really care either. It was really awesome to just have that, hey, this is pretty cool. So that's one of the first games here. I'm gonna jump a little bit farther forward. So in between games, I would try to clean some stuff up, play some 1v1s and some 4v4s. So if you can see over on the left side there, where Marty is just sitting in the goal here, this is something that one of my cousins was abusing pretty heavily, and is something I'm definitely gonna patch in some sort of goaltending thing, because one of the cousins would just wait till his team got 5 or 10 ahead, and then would just sit in the goal and knock the ball out every time it tried to come in. He didn't block everything, but he blocked way too many. It's just kind of a cluster anyway, so he was blocking all the things. So I'm thinking about having you get a couple of seconds in the goal, and then all of a sudden you get ghosted out, and maybe there's a penalty, so you lose a couple of seconds of being able to do anything on the stage. So that was a good learning. There's a couple slowing the game down did help the clustering a lot, but I think that there's a lot more to be played with there. I think that getting the mini games in is going to be more important than I thought, just to get people to have kind of a second objective on the screen, right? Not have all 4 players just running at the ball, and just getting stuck and doing whatever in the middle. But yeah, I think that I think that there's something to be done there. The other thing was that Ori's Windbox, which had been a tricky move, like, oh, this is too powerful, oh, this is too weak. When they play tested it, it was definitely on the side of too weak. But I think we're gonna try a completely different fair move, where essentially he'll throw out a hitbox, and if the ball is in that hitbox, he'll just pull it towards him, like lash out a little vine and pull it towards him. So it's a move that can be used pretty well defensively, but can't be abused offensively. I think the Windbox is it's a bit tricky, so we're gonna try something else and see how that feels. But yeah, I mean, overall, I got a million notes out of this, for things that I couldn't test by myself, and then just general learnings about the game from just having a bunch of different people play it and see how they felt. The controllers, I had people playing on the joystick, I had people playing on the PS4 controllers, and I had people playing on the keyboard. They all seem to be pretty fine. I think that's partially just because there are so few buttons. And then, another thing that was awesome for having so few buttons is, I had a cousin who just doesn't play video games at all, and she picked it up, just kind of out a little bit of peer pressure, but ended up, scoring a goal pretty early on and just kind of let out this monstrous scream, which, as I've been playing through these videos again, have heard like 3 or 4 times, and is hilarious to me every time. But that was a really good moment for me, to just have somebody, the validation of having somebody who like just doesn't play games and doesn't identify themselves as someone who plays games, just have that exciting moment of like, yes, I did this thing, so quickly into the experience. That's pretty much the ideal situation with what we're going for. One thing that I was worried about that didn't end up being an issue at all was Ori's springs. So I don't know if you've seen in the videos here, but him dropping a bunch of springs. Like I still need to work on setting the limit, because I think that he could be abused more than I think. It's just not immediately noticeable how to abuse him, but I think if you just sit on the opposite end, on your goal end, and just put a bunch of springs down, he could be kind of a pest. But that was not an issue at all. The other thing was an issue was Jester's throw. I think it was only hit like 3 or 4 times during play, so that's perfectly fine. It did. I think actually 2 of the 3 times that it was hit, it went into their own goal, which was pretty funny too. But yeah, I think that it was relatively difficult to hit, so that was exciting to see that kind of played out exactly as I wanted it to. But yeah, overall, I learned a lot. I think that the next steps here are I've already cleaned up a bunch of the like really breaking things that I think occur, like Marty being able to be hit, and Jester being able to grab people, and a bunch of stuff like that. I have already patched out, but I'm gonna be working on Ori a little bit, just getting his kit a little more polished, doing the same for everybody else, and then I think I really do need to get some of those mini games in there to just get something else on the screen, because I don't, if you're watching the video right now, they've just kind of been clustered at the bottom forever. The top 2/3 of the screen are very rarely activated, so maybe playing around with how the platforms sit there, just so that the ball maybe rests up at the top a little bit more, just so that we can just get more of the screen activated. Right now there's like very little reason to jump unless you're already all the way at the corner. And then I think too, just increasing the invincible windows on things, so that the ball goes through people more, right? Like you can't just, the ideal strategy shouldn't be just everybody on the ball and hopefully we'll walk it in at some point. I want people to have to back off, because if you're too close, the other team can just push it straight through you. So that's something that I'm definitely going to be playing with, is kind of trying to remove the clustering effect that we seem to see from so much of this. So here's I think one of the games where it's a little bit slower, and you can see it's just a lot. I think it's a little less clustered. The clustering still happens, but it happens slower. So this was a nice change. I think after everyone seemed to like the game a lot more too after it was slower. But yeah, afterwards we had a really nice constructive talk. I wrote down about 1 million notes, made 1 million new tickets in the Kanban. and I just, I have a lot more that I know what I need to do now. But yeah, no, overall, I was really pleased with the experience. Everyone said they liked it. They were texting me about it afterwards. Whether or not, again, they're being nice, I may never know, because they're very nice people, my cousins, and I appreciate that from them. But at the same time, I do, I need to get this in front of some other people who I know will be a little harsher to me. Just to see what isn't good with it, what isn't, and like what really needs to change. But I think I definitely learned so much from this experience, and it was awesome. And I definitely want to just keep playtesting with as many people as possible. So I think the next two groups are going to be the D&D boys, and then I might actually bring this guy to work in a week and a half or so. I have to do our little like Monday speech there, and I know some people might get down on this if I bring it in. So yeah, we'll do that. But yeah, so that's been devlog number 6. I'm very excited about the future of the game. As always, thanks for watching, even if you're just me. Have a good day, I guess.